All
right.
That was a bad answer. Why do I farm? I've never had to answer that question before. Farming is a word that intimidates me because that's so large scale and that has ties to just like capitalism, and that's not really what I'm into. I more so think of gardening, and because of that, I would say my grandfather, who has a garden in his own backyard, and ever since I was a child, I was always helping him out during the summers when I went up to New York. And all of my family in Toronto, Jersey, Florida, like they all have gardens. So it's just something that I grew up being in a Caribbean culture. So that is who I would say my grandfather and why. I used to think that black people didn't really farm, but it's not until like you start reading and doing stuff that you find out like, oh no, like that's a historical thing to do, like a garden in your backyard, farming. And so I think it's one that we need to get back in touch with. I think the passing of knowledge has sort of stopped around like the importance of food and the benefits of food and whatnot. Yeah, so I feel like I think it will represent some sort of relief from the monotony, y'all know the word, that our lives can become so easily. So yeah, I don't know, gardening's cool. I think people have come to think that gardening is hard and like that you need a green thumb, but like anything else, practice makes perfect. So I think people educating themselves, one, on like what gardening is and the functions and roles that it can play and how abundant it can be for a community. Education, to then actually like practicing that in homes. So like what does it look like to have smaller scale gardens in homes and stuff like that, and even then taking that to the next step, like larger scale, how as a world do we actually provide food? Like why do we have to pay for basic needs such as food and water and stuff like that? You know, like there are homeless people and there's green space. Why isn't that an apple tree? So yeah. So from my personal experience and just working with different gardeners and farmers, I think there are some incredible black men who are farmers in North Carolina. There's one, Farmer Bernard in Charlotte. He did urban gardening in concretes, and now he's moved on to another format of gardening / farming. And then there's another, I'm forgetting his name, but he's in Huntersville. He's also him and his partner are great farmers out there. In Atlanta, there are an abundance of black farmers on the West End. I know people who know them. The person that I know who knows them is Eva Dickerson. She's a great. Vicar Allen Weeks is great. There's some really talented and really passionate people on the West End of Atlanta, and I think people need to tap into that knowledge. And in the Caribbean, there are great farmers and gardeners in the Caribbean. Cuba, Bahamas, amazing. There are people out there. Amberly Elaine on Instagram. My own godfather in the Bahamas. And backyard gardening in the Bahamas. Yeah, that's another great one too. So I recently started a gardening company in Atlanta. Greene Clothe is the brand which the gardening company falls under, offering my services in building box beds, maintenance, plant care and tips, even down to design and actually putting in and installing. And then also for people who don't have access to yards, indoor growing kits. So BOLO for those. But yeah, Greene Clothe. That's me trying to feed everybody. Let's go.
Most definitely. Well, thank you again, Jennifer, for having us, and we hope you have a great rest of your day.